What is going on, guys? Joey here, feeling a little bit better from last video. And today I wanted to talk about how much fatigue is acceptable, how much fatigue should we be putting up with, and how often should we be hitting PRs or feeling good. So let's get right into it. What sparked this topic is, whenever I work with a lifter that is relatively new to the way that I like to train lifters, it's kind of a nice little reminder or refresher for me. A lot of my lifters are just people that I've worked with for a long time. Occasionally we'll get a new lifter here and there that I think our goals align. And I'll say, all right, let's give it a shot. And then, I get to go through all the early lessons that a lifter needs to learn in the beginning of their sort of journey here. And one of those things is going to be, just dealing with fatigue and understanding that when it happens, it's not the end of the world. It's actually a good signal, or a signal that we should be using to help propel us forward. An example of this. So if you come into training, boom, week one, let's say you're coming off of a break, right? Week one, let's say it's, nice and easy, nice and moderate. You're going to get through your training, no problem. Have a nice week. Mentals are feeling good. Coming to week two, a little bit more challenging. Maybe especially towards the end of the week, nothing too out of the ordinary, right? We're always, kind of subconsciously comparing ourselves to our good days, right? Like what we can hit on a good day. But when they say no pain, no gain, that kind of makes sense. Right? No pain. Pain in this case would be no mental pain. No, wow, I'm weak today. I really need to chill out. If you don't have those moments of, wow, I need to improve, I need to get better, or telling your body that they need to get better, they need to be able to adapt to the work that you're putting it through, then how does your body know to improve, right? So going back, coming into week 3, now you're starting to feel it a little bit. You're not super far off, but you're okay, I'm starting to feel pretty beat up. And I'll give you examples of the opposite of what this could look like. Feeling pretty beat up. And then, let's say week 4, top of week 4, you are definitely feeling the fatigue. Your singles are maybe they're still kind of consistent. The numbers are somewhat similar to what you were hitting, maybe mid-block, at the start of the block. But you are feeling the fatigue. You're noticing on your back down sets, you're not able to hit as much. And again, this is just one example of how things can go. Sometimes the lifter is able to get through all of it, and they don't really experience these things until week 5, I would say, right? So the first week of the next block, if you're doing 4-week blocks, or week 5. But you can time the deload so that, and it does happen very often where we'll time a deload and the lifter hasn't really complained or noted that they are feeling beat, but when they do feel beat, they're already on the deload, so it's perfect timing. Literally, lifters tell me that all the time, and that's good. I'm not saying one is better than the other. As long as you're getting that effect, that's what you want. And there's varying degrees of this. So week 4 comes along. If the lifter, let's say happens at week 4, right? If the lifter is inexperienced, they might start to worry at this point. Typically if a lifter has fatigue and they tell me, I say, okay, no problem. It's good to know. We still have a good amount of stuff to go through before we decide to make an adjustment. Now, if I give that lifter a deload and they're still feeling beat up, it's kind of concerning. Maybe they overshot the deload. Maybe their nutrition variables were not good. there is something else that's stressing them. I know for me, when I have like a bunch of flights that I have to do, and let's say I have to do an East Coast flight and I got to wake up early the next day, oh my God. I'm going to be fatigued. Like that's just going to really mess me up, even mentally sometimes. Like you're just out of it, you're zapped, you feel flat. You don't have a lot of energy. But those are the things that you need to like pay attention to, right? So inexperienced lifters are going to worry. Someone who's like a veteran, they're going to be like, oh, like I know how to deal with this. This is not anything I need to panic about. And then over time, there's just like a deeper level of just understanding your body and understanding what signals you should pivot off of in training that you gain the longer that you do it, right? The longer I work with the lifter, if I think about, you know, the Jesus's, the Russes, I say it like there's more than one, but there's not, there's only one, right? One Jesus, one Russ, Keiko, you know, Amanda, like the OGs, you start to, Mikey Davis, you start to really know like what to look for, right? You start to really know what signals mean I need to chill out. And then mentally you have like such a backlog of things that you've done that have led to a positive result that you don't even worry. Like you're like happy to deload. You're like happy to pull it back because you know what happens when you follow this process and you do things the right way. So how much of that should you tolerate? I would say it can vary. Obviously, there are other signals, and this is like the intricate part of coaching where it's like important to just communicate because like we're using fatigue as like a signal right now. But there's like a lot of other things. For example, a lifter could say, I feel fatigued, but my hamstring kind of hurts more than it normally does on my left side. Now we're starting to, we don't want to mess with that. I might deload somebody sooner if we're starting to have weird things pop up like that. It just really depends like what it is. But if it's just fatigue, first sign of fatigue at the end of the block, not a big deal. Just be conservative. You can get through it. Now coming into a deload, I mean, of course, like you're going to feel it because you did the work to justify the deload. So you're going to hit the deload. If you're beat up after the deload, then I would probably change their block and just really wash things out. But that's like pretty rare, and that doesn't really happen that often. Usually the deload will take care of it. It's like a week long, right? Usually they start feeling better at the end of the week. So I would say a week of feeling some amount of fatigue to where it's inhibiting your ability to progress, 5 days-ish, something like that. If it goes longer than that, I'm really gonna, want to start to change things to bring that down because that's like too much. Now, like we can't even really do anything in training because you're so fatigued. So I would say about a week. I've seen 10 days max, like leading up to a meet. You're holding a good amount of fatigue. Again, I'm saying the word fatigue like generally. There's different levels to it. If you're like 5% off of your max, that's nothing. If you're like 20, 30%, like you just can't do anything. I mean, you need to really pull it back. You don't want to stay in that super fatigue state for too long. And other factors that can influence this is like if the lifter is in a caloric surplus and they're training really hard and they're being challenged, sometimes they could power through and like get better as the weeks are going on. So like as you're adding in more work, they're adapting to it and they're improving, they're getting bigger. So like that could also influence your decisions as well. Same thing if they're dieting, they're probably going to feel it a lot sooner. You won't be able to progress as far as fast. But like what's the goal, right? If the goal is to lose weight, then you have to stick to the goal. How often should you be PRing? I like to say like somewhere in the third block, so every 3 blocks, you're gonna definitely be hitting like doesn't even have to be a PR, but it could be a noticeably better, significantly better day or week, where you're just kind of like on one, like anything that you do that week, you're just going to kill it. And part of that has to do with the way that we structure training, and we like slowly lower volume over time. You don't want to lower volume too much. You want to kind of find a sweet spot of volume that's working for you, and then, you know, kind of run that until you need to make a change. But yeah, so just like the main takeaway from the video, I would not want to be fatigued more than 5, like super fatigued, like, okay, like I feel not confident right now, you know what I mean? I would say 5 to 10 days. If it lasts, you know, into the 5th, 6th, 7th day, I'm really looking to like make sure that we're addressing this. Some fatigue is okay. There is going to be like a level of fatigue that you just kind of always have while you're in the midst of training, just going through your, you know, volume and stuff. But, you know, there's a time and place for everything. It just really depends on where you are in relation to your competition. Are you in an off season? Sometimes you'll be in a super off season and you can afford to be a little bit more fatigued than you normally would. Maybe you want to learn some things about yourself. Maybe you're going to sort of push yourself. But again, it all depends what phase of training. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed that little talk. You guys have been asking about the workshop that I mentioned a little while ago. I would like to do one before I head out to Sheffy, but I'm not gonna lie, I've been just waking up. It's almost like I have like super allergies, and I've just not been feeling well. I went to the doctor once, I got antibiotics, I didn't have any viruses, and it did get better, but now I feel like it's like just like being really sticky. It's like not going away. So I don't know, I gotta get that handled before I'm gonna sit down, devise a class, and talk for 2.5 hours. You know what I mean? 2 hours. Something like that. So I'll let you guys know, hopefully in the next couple days. If you guys have any questions about what I talked about or any video topics that you want me to explore, let me know in the comments below. We're 2 weeks out from Sheffy. You already know what we're bringing to the table. I'm excited to be out there. I'm off the hook. I'm free. I can coach on the stage. It's going to be crazy. I'm excited, and this is just gonna be a great start to the year, and that's gonna roll us right into nationals. So hope everybody is doing well out there. I do miss connecting with you guys face to face. I will be doing a lot more of this soon, and yeah, that's it. Thank you guys. Peace.